The year was 1977, and Audi was working with the German military on creating a four-wheel drive system. And the Audi engineers began to wonder, what would happen if this all-wheel drive system went in a normal car? So during the night, they would go to a quarry and test out the new car in secret. And it was clear to see that the car was more controlled on off-road terrain than a car without four-wheel drive. And then, the Audi engineers had another idea. The fact that this car could go around corners on gravelly and off-road terrain would make this car very good at rally racing. But there was one major issue: the rules. At this time, all-wheel drive or four-wheel drive systems were not allowed to race. So Audi decided to change that rule. But they couldn't do it very obviously, so they had to do it in a sneaky manner. So they waited to the end of the meeting before asking whether they could remove the rule about banning all-wheel drive. And because everyone was in a rush after a long meeting, almost everyone agreed without hesitation. And this would end up biting them all in the butt. Because Audi would make the Quattro, and the Audi Quattro would absolutely dominate the rally scene.
And a moment of history when in 1981 Michèle Mouton clinched the first of her 4 WRC victories at the wheel of the infamous Audi Quattro.
And by 1982, everybody knew that if you wanted to be competitive in rally, you had to be running an all-wheel drive system. But there was one major exception to that: Lancia. This is the Lancia 037, and it's Lancia's response to the all-wheel drive Quattro. At this time, Audi had all the money in the world. With backing from Volkswagen, they had enough budget to change and improve the car before every race, along with legendary drivers like Hannu Mikkola and Michèle Mouton. Compared to Audi, Lancia seemed tremendously behind. They had drivers like Miku Allen and Walter Röhrl, but they were very good drivers on their day. But they didn't want to race in every event, and definitely didn't want to be world champion and have all the fame that came with it. And they also had a budget that Audi would scoff at. And finally, the team boss seemed to be more interested in yachts and women than rally. When you put on paper, Audi has a proven car with a championship, budget to experiment and improve, top level drivers, and a well put together team boss. Compared to Lancia's small budget, drivers who didn't want to win, playboy team boss, and two-wheel drive, you would think Audi would walk right over Lancia. Lancia did have some tricks up their sleeves. For one, they tricked the governing body by overstating how many cars they had. You see, you needed 400 cars to be able to race. This was a homologation rule. But Lancia only made 200. So how did they race? Well, Lancia parked 200 cars in one lot. Then, when the officials asked where the other two were, they took them to lunch. And in this time, they moved all 200 cars to a different parking lot. And then, bring the officials to that parking lot, and it would look like they had 400 cars. If you look at the crashes of the 037, the car doesn't seem to be very strong. This led a few people to speculate that the roll cages might be fake in the car. Even with this trickery, no one thought they could do anything in the 1983 season. But when the first event came,
Playground for the rich, a winter house for the rally which has taken its name since 1911.
It was held in the cold mountains of Monte Carlo. And even the Lancia team were scared for this race because it was prone to ice and snow. These weather conditions would not be favorable to the mid-engine two-wheel drive car. So, Lancia went to the store to get as much salt as they could. And they took this salt and put it all over the iciest and hardest corners in the track. So when the 037 came through, all of the ice would be gone. They also went to the French authorities and told them that parts of the road were very icy and that it would be very dangerous to the spectators watching. So, in fact, they got the French government to help clear the course. But Lancia wasn't done there. because they changed their tires midway through the course. When the iciest parts of the rally were done, they switched off the winter tires for more streetwear tires, and this caused the complete shock of everyone, Lancia to win. But not just win, they went 1-2 in Monte Carlo, where everyone thought that the Audis would take it.
Four-wheel drive and 340 turbocharged horsepower are just not enough. It's Audi sadness, Lancia joy.
The next event was in Sweden, and even with all their tricks, they couldn't get rid of the snow, and they knew they couldn't compete with the Audis in that much snow. So what did they do? They just didn't show up. And when Lancia did the same in Portugal and East Africa, that meant that Audi was absolutely running away with the title, just like everyone expected. But the next rally was in Corsica, where the roads were dry and paved, meaning that it would be the best conditions for the Lancia, meaning there would be no surprise that Lancia would get a 1-2 finish. What was unexpected is that Lancia didn't just get a 1-2 finish, they got a 1-2-3-4 finish. Because Lancia were the best on Corsica. They knew that if they entered 4 cars, they could get more points than was expected. This, along with Audi mechanical problems that had made the Audis not be able to pick any points up at this event, made Lancia back on top.
Across the dusty, desolate plains of the south and on northwards through the spectacular landscapes of Meteora. 4 days of sweat and strain under a blistering sun. This is the Acropolis Rally, the roughest, toughest gravel road test in Europe.
Where the gravel roads made it incredibly difficult, along with the course being known for giving cars mechanical problems. And this was a trouble to many of the cars. But to everyone's shock, the Lancia cars were alright, and the Audi ones were the only one with problems, allowing Lancia to win in Greece to everyone's shock. Lancia and Audi, as the year went on, would continue to compete for the title. And with 3 races to go, Lancia could win the championship. And they really wanted to do that. Why? Well, you see, the event was held in San Remo, Italy, and they wanted to win in front of their home fans. But they didn't just want to win, they also wanted to win the championship, which they could do. But if they wanted to do that in San Remo, they would have to deal with the dust. The problem with the dust is that it was kicked up by the car ahead, and then a minute later, when the next car would go, the dust would still be all over the road. So, to combat this, when it was their turn to go, they wouldn't move. They would fiddle with their seatbelt or their door and show that the official that they couldn't go until the dust settled. Then they would go. But this was quickly stopped by the officials, meaning the result of the race would have to be down to the driver's skill. Walter Kroll had a driving masterclass. He said himself that it was probably his best rally event ever. He could just be in perfect harmony with the car, and the car would do whatever he wanted to do perfectly. Surprisingly, they would finish in San Remo 1, 2, and 3, filling up the podium, meaning that they would win the championship in Italy in front of their home fans. Out of all the legendary battles in motorsport, the battle between Audi and Lancia is definitely one of the most legendary. There's no battle that was more David versus Goliath. Audi with a proven car with lots of budget, and Lancia with a 2-wheel drive, untested car, limited budget. But against all odds, Lancia, David, was able to win the championship. Lancia did not continue to stay with 2-wheel drive. The next rally car, the Delta, had an all-wheel drive system, but Lancia's 037 was the final fight in rally for 2-wheel drive cars. Thank you for watching the video all the way to the end. If you clearly enjoyed it, so leave a like and subscribe and watch my other videos.